Welcome back to Fully Loaded. This is your host, JC Cornell. I am with Samer Ali as always. Guys, Fully Loaded is brought to you by the 813 Network. You can find us on YouTube. You can find us on the internet at the813.tv, streaming on all platforms. Samer, Bucs beat the Lions in Detroit.
Yeah.
What do you got to say?
Apparently you shocked the world, but I'm not too shocked, honestly. We talked about it. So, yeah, hell of a win. Hell of a gritty win, gutsy win. The boys came out there and punched the Detroit Lions in the mouth, which is what you got to do to a team like that.
Well, as you can see in my background, the game is playing on all TVs rapidly in the Cornell household right now.
Wow.
I'm jacked up, dude. I'm just watching this over and over again. And by the way, we called this win. If you listen to Fully Loaded, we were fully confident in the Bucs pulling this win off against Detroit.
Yeah, we thought it would be a shootout. If we had a right tackle, I honestly believe we probably scored 31 points. No, like, I'm not even saying that just to say that. Like, we only got stopped when Skule would just get absolutely destroyed by Aiden Hutchinson, who's a freak of nature. He's a game wrecker, and he showed that. But if we have our starting right tackle, I think our offensive drives continue. They don't stall out. He doesn't put us in situations that are basically not manageable in a ruckus environment like that against a defense that's trying to, punch you in the mouth as well. So I think wasn't a shootout, but we fully expected the win, honestly. And I was still shocked, though, by the names who showed up to make it happen as opposed to what we were talking about. But still, again, a win by a very good Buccaneer football team, JC. We know that.
Obviously, as you just said, Luke Godecki is just so vital to this offensive line. The guy's going to get paid by the Bucs, hopefully brought back. I want to talk about the win, though. Chris Godwin shined. 7 receptions, 117 yards, and a touchdown. He was really the main catalyst on offense for us. Baker obviously rushing the ball. But, Samer, let's talk about this for a second. Is Baker Mayfield the top 5 quarterback in the NFL right now?
Hey, if you look at numbers, yes. If you watch his tape, these first 2 games, aside from a couple of throws over 2 weeks, he's been dialed in. He's done exactly what he's supposed to be doing. He's made the correct decision. He tucks it when he's supposed to. He's not forcing anything. He's running when he needs to run. He's playing his ass off, dude. And Liam Cohen is calling a great game. Obviously, Hutchinson got in the way. Having your backup right tackle who's nowhere near Godecki's, skill and strength, it played a factor, but to have him scramble for a first down and then for Liam to call the quarterback draw that nobody expected, the very next play, just again, and then for Baker to put the team on his back for the most part on offense and just carry the team. And that run was not easy. He had to fight his way into the end zone, and you can start to see that this team, especially on offense, has taken on his identity, his mindset. The chip on the shoulder is now across all 11 of those starters. And again, Chris Godwin, I mean, this guy is just reliable, comes through no matter what, and he's our version of Cooper Kupp with way more physicality, and it's going to be hard to deny Chris Godwin in terms of the national media at some point. And I think he's starting to get people to finally open up their eyes and stop shaking their heads.
So I'll say this about Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield is back to Oklahoma Baker, that swag, that confidence, but it's a mature Oklahoma Baker. He's really matured personally. Obviously, this journey he's gone through to find himself now as the franchise quarterback for the Buccaneers. I mean, it's impressive, man. And he looks just so dialed in when he's playing. There's no lack of confidence. He knows what he's doing. He seems dialed in with Cohen's playbook. And here's the thing, that scramble where he broke that guy's ankles and then Cohen going again to him for the touchdown, the play after, when Baker has a momentum run like that, the energy he gets, and it's like when you're playing basketball, you hit a 3 or you block someone's shot, you get jacked up. He was jacked up. So Cohen's like, all right, I know Baker's feeling it right now. We're going to go right back to him. He's going to juke a couple more times and get in the end zone.
Yeah, and I think the most impressive part about it, too, is he's running the ball. He's not being careless with the ball. He's tucking it away. He's got 2 hands on it. He's very, cautious, he's aware and conscious is what I want to say. He's conscious of his surroundings and the guys around him and how important each possession is. And for them to be able to capitalize in those moments, it seemed like every time the Lions made a play on offense or, kicked the field goal, got a little bit closer, or when they took the lead, the Bucs offense and Baker kind of said, all right, let's answer. And they would answer. They would go out there, they would respond. And then every time, they would give the ball back to their defense would respond. So from the offensive standpoint, though, with Baker, yeah, dude, you could tell that he and Liam are just clicking. They're seeing the same things. His receivers are seeing the same things. Mike Evans and Chris Godwin are really playing their roles perfectly. And Chris Godwin, you don't have to be great to play in the NFL as a quarterback if you have Mike and Chris Godwin. You just got to get those guys the ball and let them do their thing. And I think mature Baker that we're seeing now is understanding, let me just get the ball to my guys, and when I need to make a play, I'll make a play. But we've talked about this in the all offseason, JC. It's not Baker having to put everything on his shoulder like he did when he was in Cleveland, right? He now can just play ball. He doesn't have to be the guy and make the play every single time, and that's what makes it so special. And yeah, is he a top 5 quarterback? I'm sorry, but by the metrics and by the numbers and by the eye test, he is. Right now, he is. And I see no reason for that to slow down. And it's going to be a really, really interesting conversation down the road. And it might be time to have our friend from New York to come join us again at some point during the season, talk about Baker, yeah?
Mad Dog?
Yeah.
Are we getting Mad Dog back on the show?
I mean, it's time he eats a little crow.
I think we give it 2 more games, and then we have an honest conversation with Mad Dog and see where he's at with the Baker Mayfield. I haven't seen on TV if he said anything about Baker. I'm sure it's been brought up. I just haven't heard anything from him yet. So we got to definitely check in with him. But I was going to say this. An unfortunate stat for the Bucs is that Baker Mayfield led the team in rushing with 34 yards. That's not what you want to see for Rashad. That's not what you want to see for Bucky. They got to improve that. Obviously, Skull playing right tackle did not help. But hopefully against Denver, we score early and often, and Bucky and Rashad have huge games because we need them.
Yeah, I think that a totally different defense should have Gadecki back. That played a massive part of it. I mean, you have Aiden Hutchinson in the backfield almost the entire afternoon. But, man, if you look aside from 2 or 3 runs by each of the guys, they were getting tackled in the backfield almost immediately every single time. And so that, again, that's not on the running backs. That's also not an excuse either. Like, you got 5 guys up there. If one guy's missing, the other 4 still should be able to do their job, and too often they weren't doing their job. So it's up to them to man up, and it's up to Liam to find out what they're truly good at in terms of the blocking scheme and the eye candy. And the other thing to note is I wonder how much of the offense he was able to utilize in terms of the eye candy and the motions in a run type of scenario without that guy and without, having the ability to take a tight end away from that corner. So, that kind of limits what you can do. So if you have to always put that extra resource on the right-hand side there to help, you can't run the entire offense that you want to run, honestly.
The entire offense went vanilla because they had to chip Hutchinson all game, whether it was Brait, whether it was Rashad. I mean, I was thinking, why is Keith not doing it? But, I mean, that kills the offense. It kills the momentum that we started in week 1, but it's okay because we will be back. We will get healthy next week. And, Samer, I want to talk to you about certain defensive player.
Before we go to that, to the Keith point, if you put in a guy who's a good blocking tight end, okay, which Cade Otton, in my opinion, is not, then you tell the defense that we're probably not going to throw the ball to him. So it automatically takes away an option that they have to think about. And so you almost have to put Cade Otton in there as a blocker / catcher because you got to make him think about both options, even though he's not ideal. And he showed that he had a couple of times he was one-on-one with the guy, and he just made him look foolish. So, again, hands were tied with that move. There's, only so much you could do. And that goes across the NFL. You see your best tackle on either side get taken away. It's a massive deal.
I mean, they need to be bringing some guys in for some tryouts to have some new depth. That was just terrible. I don't even want to talk about it. Let's stay positive. Yeah. Okay. Zion McCollum, cornerback 1 on this team. I think he's better than Jamel Dean. 4 pass breakups, 1 interception. Could have had 2 interceptions. Could have had a fumble recovery for a touchdown. The guy is a freak athlete. And I talked to you the other episode. I was like, is Zion a question mark? No, dude, he's not a question mark. We got 2 more years of this guy on his rookie contract. A 5th round pick, 6'2", 205 pounds, 4.33, 40-yard dash. This kid is an absolute freak. That was a project turned into now an upcoming star on this roster.
Most corners don't hit the ground running in the NFL, man. It's Sauce Gardner, very rare guy. That's why he's the only name that comes to my mind over the last 5 years who gets drafted, comes in day one, stud. Doesn't happen. And even he has his moments, right? So Zion kind of just going through his progression, getting better every single year. And Todd Bowles said after the game, they believe in him. They think he's a hell of an athlete. They think he's a hell of a corner. And now the game is starting to slow down. His mentals are now not having to focus on trying to read everything, and his tackling has improved ridiculously from 1 year to the next. And now you can see him just being an athlete playing corner. And he's, no offense to Jamel Dean, who's also very fast, by the way, but he has more so makeup speed and long speed, whereas Zion is just twitchy, quick. He's got all the stuff you want from your corner, and now he's playing.
A ball hawk.
And now he's playing with confidence. He knows what he's seeing.
The game is slowed down for him.
The game is slowed down. And Todd even said he knows what he's seeing. He knows where his help is coming from. So he knows when he can take his chances. And you saw him. He could have had 3 picks. Could have had 2 for sure. Could have had a fumble that he picked up and took for a score. I mean, he was all over the field. For him as a corner to be that way and to flash the way he did, I believe I think he was tied for tackles with Jordan Whitehead, which... totally different conversation on that side too.
11 tackles, 9 tackles, 3 assists.
Yeah, I mean, again, I wasn't worried about Zion just because the guys on this team who matter, the coaches and the guys in the front office, were confident in him. So I said, you know what? They got to know something. They got to see something. And he's proven it, man. In both weeks when he's played, he has been very, very good. And is he cornerback 1 on this team? I think he might already be, man, honestly. But you need more than 2. So, I think we have a really, really good stable across the board. And I'm not saying that to dog Jamel Dean, because I think he's played a damn good season so far too. But, have a guy like Zion, he's proven that he could be a game breaker type of player for us. And that's massive on the defensive side of the ball, man.
So there's another guy on defense I want to talk about. And before we really break him down and talk about him, I just want to mention this. Zion McCollum and the guy we're about to talk about, Servasia Dennis, both 5th-round picks by Jason Light. Servasia Dennis in this game was a monster. He's laying the wood, cracking dudes. He brings speed that Britt does not have, that you need when you have to match up on guys like Jahmyr Gibbs. And he was just a beast, bro. Like, they haven't announced it formally, but in my eyes, Dennis is the new starting inside linebacker next to Levante David.
Yeah, I think the only reason Britt's in there right now is because he's dependable, right? And so he understands where he's going to be. But as they slowly gain more confidence, especially after that game in Detroit, in Servasia Dennis, man, I see no reason that he's not the guy out there, because he's, again, not to dog KJ Britt, but Dennis, when he's out there, you can tell he's special. He's a specimen physically, 1. He covers ridiculously well for a linebacker, which was something that we saw from him in his rookie training camp. He was all over the field picking off passes.
He had a 4.6 40-yard dash at the combine. I mean, that's plenty of speed for inside linebacker.
And he's big to cover tight ends. He's quick enough to, be isolated with a tight end who's athletic, or even a running back. But the most impressive thing for me from him on Sunday was his recognition of plays. You could tell he's had his nose in his playbook. He's had his nose in his notes, in his game plan, and understood what he was seeing. He saw it. He would go get ball. And when he got there, oh man, he absolutely made sure they knew he arrived. He made plays. Tackle for loss against Jahmyr Gibbs. Massive play in the 4th quarter. And anytime we needed to stop those last 2 drives, Dennis was there. Jordan Whitehead was there too. Izine was there. Jamel Dean. Tyke Smith making plays in the backfield. But if we're just talking about Dennis right now, just unbelievably proud of what he was able to put together. And I did not foresee that. I saw them, shifting him and Britt in and out in the game against the Commanders, but I did not see him. I did not forecast him coming in Detroit and just doing what he did. And man, it's going to be very hard to not have him on the field, JC. I don't anticipate they're going to keep him off for too many plays.
I mean, at first they were bringing him in for the coverage snaps, but then he came in for the coverage snaps and he starts making all these tackles for losses. And then suddenly he's just on the field the whole game. I mean, listen, I love KJ Britt and what he brings, the leadership, the trash talk, the shit talking, but Dennis leads by example and makes big ass plays for the Bucs.
Doesn't hurt to have two guys with starting experience. Doesn't hurt to have two guys that you can, slide in and out depending on the scenario. If you're, a goal line, you need to, a guy to make a play. KJ Britt's you got to have more than your starters in this league nowadays, man. And so the other thing too, all these guys on this team are very unselfish guys. There's nobody pounding the table, have to get starting minutes, none of that. These guys understand their roles, and I don't think KJ Britt would take it to heart. He'd be bummed out because he's a competitor, but at the end of the day, he's like, I'm going to do my part, and I'm sure they're going to call me in there to play, and they're just going to deliver, which is, man, again, just to see him be the second-year guy, didn't get to play much last year, special teams type of dude, had spot play here and there in Dennis, and then for him to take what he did in training camp last year to do it again in training camp this year and come out there and play his ass off, dude. Just, oh, man. That tackle on Jahmyr Gibbs in that moment, just so fucking special, dude. So special.
Just momentum swing, man.
Absolutely.
All right, I've talked to a few people. Sammer, buckle your seatbelt. Hassan Reddick is not going to get traded for by the Buccaneers. So whoever was dreaming about it, including myself, not going to happen. Too much money, too expensive, 30 years old, probably wants $20+ million a year, just not going to happen. So we need to move on from that and just know that JTS, Broswell, Yaya Diaby, Anthony Nelson are our edge guys. And that's what it's going to be.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with what I'm seeing from JTS right now. Yeah, nothing wrong with what I'm seeing from JTS right now. Best 2-game stretch of his entire career. Obviously, it's always been with the Bucs. So if he continues to do this, I know it's a contract year, and sometimes I'm a little hesitant to lean on the contract year as the proof to the pudding, but at the end of the day, he's making plays right now. He's all over the field. He's doing his job. He's creating pressure. He's finishing the plays, more importantly. He has not been a problem in terms of our defense giving up a play. He has not been an issue, and I like what I'm seeing. He looks fast. He looks powerful. He's getting to the quarterback. I can't wait to see what he can do when we have Vita and Cansey together in there,
maybe
too.
Chris Broswell just motivated his ass.
Dude, there's no secret in terms of how the Bucs like to draft. They don't draft guys on accident as backup players. They draft guys to light fire under asses. That's just how it works. Dennis coming in was part of the let's get Devin White to wake his ass up a little bit, right? JTS, Chris Braswell, same type of thing. Yaya Diaby, same type of thing. We wanted to wake up JTS. Let's bring in these guys. Bucky Irving, hey, let's make sure Rashad does not rest on his laurels. Bring in a running back that's going to push. That's how you create competitive teams across the league. Guys that are constantly being drafted in positions that are not of need. Those are usually teams that are winning. I mean, look at the Eagles. How many defensive edge guys do they need? How many pass rushers do they need? Same thing with Texans. Like you got to create that competition within the building because that creates competition on the field on Sundays where it matters. And you just have powerful weapons all the time that you just keep reloading with. So, yeah, Chris Braswell's been playing well, too, man. Honestly, in the spots that he's played, he's done well.
Speaking of the Eagles and the Falcons game last night, the Bucs would have waxed both those teams. I mean.
Yeah. I mean.
God, that Kirk Cousins last drive is so annoying. I mean, especially annoying for gamblers, but we'll get past that. Let's move on. All right, Sammer, are the Bucs the top dog in the NFC right now?
Listen, if you watch the Niners, they stubbed their toe. They didn't play well against a team that they should have played well against. Christian McCaffrey not playing, I don't want to say that's an excuse, honestly, because they can run the ball with anybody back there. So Deebo Samuel's getting hurt a little bit. Still got Brandon Ayuk. Still got George Kittle. Still got a ridiculously good offensive line. Still got a very good play caller. They don't look great. And it's hard to look great for stretches of, of seasons like that, getting to the Super Bowl and losing and things of that nature. Eagles, they were supposed to be so much better. They do not look good. Even against the Packers, they looked okay. And
I think a lot of that's on Sirianni, though. I mean, the way Saquon was running the ball, keep feeding him.
But that's not going to change overnight. So if I'm comparing notes across the league, we just beat a Super Bowl contender in Detroit, right? That was supposed to be the team right there with the Niners, apparently, and the Eagles. No one was talking about the Bucs. So right now, why not? Why Why aren't we the top dog in the NFC? We're 2-0. We've beaten a Super Bowl contending team. We dominated a rookie quarterback and a Commanders team that is inferior to us. We didn't even make that game even appear close, right? And we punched the Lions in the mouth. We out-physicaled them, down a bunch of starting talent, down the best safety in the NFL, down the best nose tackle in the entire NFL, not having Kalijah Cansey, a nicked up Zion McCollum, playing with second-year linebackers.
You took all my notes.
I'm just saying, why not? Sorry, man.
No, it's fine. No, I mean, I was just going to say, right now, against the Lions, this banged-up roster just beat, I would say, the best, the most talented team in the NFC, and we just took them down. And that was without Vita. That was without Cansey. That was without Godecki, without Winfield. I mean, these are cornerstone players we're talking about. And we still got the W. I mean, that just shows the grit, the chip on the shoulder that we have on this team. I mean, that Lions victory, no one predicted it. We predicted it, but on the national media, everyone freaking chose the Lions to win that game. I mean, I don't know if you saw was it NFL Network, the panelists, there's 16 panelists that all chose the Lions over the Bucs. I mean, at some point, I think, I haven't been dialed into too much coverage this week, but we're getting respect, and we deserve the respect. It's
going to be hard to hide now, right? That's the one thing I hope the Bucs are able to answer the bell with is eventually. Now teams are going to be we're playing a really good NFC team here. They just beat the Lions. Let's not take them lightly, as opposed to it's the Bucs, right? But I think the Bucs are built in a way that won't matter. They could have gone into the Lions game and just said, "Hey, man, we'll try, but we don't have a chance with what we got." But they didn't. They took it personally. And then to come in here, Denver Broncos game coming up, that's a game you would think, oh man, this is a letdown game. You just beat the best team in the NFC, against the Lions. It's a big time thing that they circled that on the calendar. But I'm not afraid of that. I mean, on Loose Cannons last night, we talked about it. Was this Todd Bowles' best game as a head coach? I think so, man.
Yes.
I think so. Just because of the factors that he had there, to deal with. And going against that type of team, people said the Eagles playoff game. We faced an Eagles playoff team that was absolutely broken. Their defense was broken. Their offense was broken. Their coaching to the players, the communication, all broken. So I don't want to discount the win for Todd. But, man, what he did on Sunday was just absolutely the Mona Lisa of his head coaching career at this point. I'm sorry. It just was.
I would say the only thing I wanted from Todd was a challenge flag on that fumble. I mean, you got to throw that challenge flag.
But if they blow the whistle, I don't think he has a choice. I don't think he's even allowed to at that point. So I don't know how it works. And I didn't see that play live. I saw it after the fact. But, yeah, I mean, that was, again, if they don't blow that whistle, we get that score. It's even more of a slanted ball game. And then to have the Lions do what they did at the end of the first half, lose their composure, miss out on 3 points that came up big at the end of the game. He could have kicked a field goal to win the game instead of going for a touchdown on the last two drives, right? I mean, that doesn't happen because you just messed up. That means the defense put you in a situation. We flustered the best team in the NFC, in my opinion, and we looked good doing it.
So Bucs 2-0, first place in the NFC South, tied unfortunately with the New Orleans Saints. This is my feeling about the Saints. I feel like that Cowboys game is low key a cupcake game because their roster is not that impressive. Obviously, Micah Parsons is unreal, but on offense, they have trash running backs. They just have CeeDee Lamb, basically. Ferguson's an average tight end. Brandon Cooks is cooked. I mean, it's not that tough of a team to play against. And then with the Saints are matching up with the Buccaneers, what did we just do? So Alvin Kamara, huge game. What do you have, 4 or 5 touchdowns?
4 touchdowns.
We just contained Jahmyr Gibbs, which in my mind is a faster, more athletic
Younger.
Younger. Yeah. I mean, I think Gibbs is more dangerous than Kamara. We'll stuff Kamara and we'll beat the Saints, no problem. All right, Samer.
Yeah, but not only that, JC, we stopped a two-headed monster in him and Montgomery. Yeah. They balance those guys really, really well, and they keep you off kilter by hitting you with speed, and they hit you with power, and then they switch back and forth. They do a really good job with that with Ben Johnson. But the Cowboys team is a team with no running back. They're playing this whole running back by committee nonsense, but none of the guys are even good. So you're playing a team that can't run the ball, has to throw the ball. So again, it's really easy to defend that, right? And then you threw the ball 16 times with Derek Carr, and you completed 11 of them. That's pretty easy to only throw the ball 16 times. That's not the case against most good NFL teams. They're going to make you throw the ball 20, 25 times. And again, Kamara gets you 4 touchdowns. The Cowboys are not who people think they are, and they're going to slowly start to show that more and more. And the Saints have had two very, very easy opponents, in my opinion, the first 2 weeks. Sorry, it's not hard to beat a team that can't run the ball. We know that.
Before we go to our next topic, I want to just bring something up. So on our Friday episodes, I'm going to continue giving Bucs prop bets. I want the listeners to know you don't have to parlay those. I mean, you can take those as single bets. The most confident bets I had in that game, I hit, no problem. Godwin was over 60 yards in the first half. That check. That's free money. Baker Mayfield over 9.5 rushing yards. Check in the first half. I mean,
first quarter, JC.
Done. I mean, I just want you guys to know, like, you don't have to put these in a parlay. You can single bet these. When I'm confident, you can single bet those and make just easy money. I just want to put that out there. But we're going to move on to a new segment on Fully Loaded Bucs. It's going to be called the Fully Loaded Cannon Fire. I am going to ask Sammer 6 questions rapidly. He has 10 to 15 seconds to respond to the question. And honestly, we're probably going to involve the listeners on this and maybe DM Sammer and I some rapid fire, cannon fire questions.
What we'll do is we'll put up a social post the day before each of our episodes, and we'll have you guys give us suggestions for these rapid fire questions, and we're going to alternate. One episode I'll ask and one episode JC will ask, and we'll try to get through 5 or 6 of these. And so let's I guess I'm answering today. Is that what's going on?
Yeah, today right. You're going to be answering these questions. All right. And I hope these aren't softballs. These aren't softballs, but we're gonna ease into this. Okay.
All right.
Because it's easy to ease into something when everything's positive with the Buccaneers, right? All right, first fully loaded cannon fire question. Will Liam Cohen be the next head coach of the Buccaneers?
Yes.
Is that it? Just yes?
That's my answer, yes. They'll figure it out. There's some sort of plan behind closed doors. We'll figure it out. He's not leaving this building if he's doing this well, especially with the quarterback.
Will Chris Godwin be on the Bucs next season?
At the beginning of the season, I said no because I thought he was going to price himself out. I still think he's going to be very, very, very expensive, but the Bucs just seem to love him too much, in my opinion. And I think not trading for Hassan Reddick tells me that they want to keep that money for their guys, and he's definitely one of their guys. And so you keep that guy and Mike Evans together, I will say yes. I will say yes, he will be a Buck in 2025.
Jason Light loves his guys. Okay.
Loves them.
Does JTS get re-signed? Does Joe Tryon-Shoyinka get re-signed by the Buccaneers after his final year on his deal?
No. And that's not a knock on him. I think he actually will play his ass off throughout the season. However, Yaya Diaby is going to be a stud. He's going to need some money soon. We just drafted Chris Braswell. I just think they're going to have to make a cut. They're going to have to make a decision that's not going to be easy. Unless he doesn't play his ass off, then maybe. But I don't see that happening.
By week 10 of the Bucs season, who will be running back 1? Rachaad White or Bucky Irving?
It'll be Rachaad White. People want to write off Rachaad because Bucky had 2 really, really nice runs and a couple of other okay runs in that first game of the season. But how do you look in Detroit when the line couldn't block for either of them, right? Let's not forget, he had 1,500 all-purpose yards last year, almost hit 1,000 yards rushing, Rachaad White, and was right there in the conversation with the Christian McCaffreys of the world. That's with a predictable offense and Dave Canales, who had no idea how to even utilize his weapons. So pump the fucking brakes. This guy's not going anywhere. If anything, he's just going to get better because of Bucky. But you need both of them. But he's not losing his job. Sorry, guys. There's actually going to be 7 questions on this new segment.
Okay. So, Sammer, as you look at the Bucs roster, the entire 53, what position do the Bucs draft in the first round of the 2025 draft? And why?
That's a tough one. I would never use a first round pick on a guard, so I would say edge rusher because you can never have too many of those guys, and Joe Tryon-Shoyinka will not be re-signed, so gotta add some more out there, in my opinion. I think we still need to continue to build that position because all the teams that compete all the time, consistently, even back to as far as the Giants back in the day with Eli, pass rushers galore. Bring them on. They equalize the playing field even if you don't have good secondary players. So absolutely edge rusher. Has to be.
Will the Bucs go 3-0 against Denver, Philly, and Atlanta?
Yes. What are we talking about? I don't even have to explain that one. Absolutely. I already predicted those as W's. So, yeah. I mean, 17-0, baby. Here we go.
Can the Tampa Bay Buccaneers right now win the Super Bowl?
Ooh, that's a tough one, man. It's hard to say yes because they haven't gotten the numbers from the sack perspective, but if they play physical like they showed in these first 2 weeks, especially this past Sunday against the Lions, they have a good chance. Honestly, they have a good chance. And this is a very special team. They're very, 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 very close inside that locker room, and I think they have a lot of the special qualities from a locker room perspective. So I wouldn't be shocked if we're in the NFC Championship game and anything goes.
All right, guys. Well, that was the Fully Loaded Cannon Fire segment. It will be on. Are we doing both episodes a week with some Cannon Fire?
Yeah, why not? Let's have fun.
I love it. I love it. Anything else on your mind, Samer, about this reaction to beating Detroit? I just saw Chris Godwin catch a pass behind me. Baker's fired up.
Yeah, I was trying not to watch behind you, but it is what it is. Hey, put some respect on Baker Mayfield's name, haters. I haven't seen any of you guys out there, but he's making sure that everybody remembers that it wasn't Dave Canales who made him Baker Mayfield 2.0. It's Baker fucking Mayfield who made him Baker Mayfield 2.0.
Wait, I just thought of one more rapid fire or cannon fire.
Okay.
I'm sorry. All right. We'll settle this. There's too much to ask. Should the Buccaneers trade Kyle Trask to the Carolina Panthers?
No. Two reasons why you shouldn't. One, there's no reason to help the team in your division steady the ship or even come close to figuring things out. Let them continue to sink, especially Dave Canales, okay? And two, you need a viable backup. And as much as I do not like Kyle Trask in terms of an NFL starter, I think he's a very good backup because he knows the system. He can go out there, he can make plays. And if you don't have anyone else on the roster you can say that confidently about, you can't just ship him out. He's probably not going to be here after next season, but you never know because you don't know if no one offers him anything.
All I'm saying, we just talked about on the show, Servasia Dennis and Zion McCollum being fifth-round picks. Jason does pretty well with fourth and fifth-round picks. And there's some quarterbacks out there that they could sign as a backup. Blaine Gabbert. I mean,
I get it, but he's here. He's here in the system, and knock on wood, if anything happens to Baker and he's not the backup quarterback, then the season is basically done. And so I'd rather have a guy that at least can come out there and at least kind of deliver, right? And who knows, maybe he plays really well. He's not going to supplant Baker by any means, but I feel more confident in Kyle Trask than I don't even know who the fuck the other guy is that we have that we just drafted, that we just traded
Michael
for.
Pratt from Tulane.
Yeah, I mean, no thanks. I don't want him hitting the field. I don't want anybody that we'd bring in as a free agent because they wouldn't know the offense. Liam at least has some rapport with Kyle Trask, and you never know, man. I'd rather have him stay on this team. Even if we lose him at the end of the season and we get nothing in return, I get it. It's fine, whatever.
All right, that's officially the end of that segment.
Yes.
All right, guys, you can find us at the813.tv online. You can find us at the 813 TV on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. We are growing it quickly. We're having fun. Lots of shows on this network. We're really excited to keep just grinding.
Yes, sir. Hit those subscribe buttons, please. Hit the like and leave us a comment on here. Maybe you guys could just drop your rapid fire questions in the comments below after this show. So, yeah, JC, we'll see you on Friday. We're going to get everyone ready for this Denver game. It's going to be a joke, in my opinion. But, yeah, go Bucs.